let's take a look at the configuration tab in FileMaker Cloud. Now, most of the setup here is going to be a one-time thing, but you may need to come back in here to take care of some things. Now, the cool thing about FileMaker Cloud is that it can be rebuilt from scratch very easily. Now, there's an instance ID here that's tied to my EC2 instance ID for FileMaker Cloud 17 here. And if you actually hit this refresh button here, it'll actually recreate your whole instance from scratch. So if something really goes wrong and you need to, you can just come in here and rebuild it, and in 10 or 15 minutes you'll get another email that it's been rebuilt. It actually unties your drive and reties your drive to the new instance for you. It's the same way that subscription or the subscription scaling for instance power works. We'll go over that in a separate chapter here. So you'll see I can do my time zone adjustment here. Auto maintenance being enabled. This means that all the notifications you get about things being installed, that'll automatically happen for you without you having to do anything. So if you want to control when you do updates, go ahead and uncheck that. You've got timeouts here for FileMaker Go and Pro. You can do a custom time. I'm going to set that to an hour. You got a WebDirect session timeout here. Filter databases and client applications. And also look at these question marks. So this is the setting that limits that to only the databases that somebody has a username and password for. That's pretty good to have. Server plugins, these are installed by the install plugin script step inside of a FileMaker file. You can enable plugins, and you can separately toggle the script step setting right here, and then plugins for WebDirect as well, and the install step for WebDirect plugins. Moving on to passwords and users, this is your email address and password for the root administrator account. And you can also tie in your Amazon provider account here as an OAuth login so that you can log in directly with the same Amazon user that you log into your EC2 control panel with. Email notifications, they're disabled by default, but I'm going to enable that. And then you can actually verify an email address as a sending email address. Now if you actually enter an email address in here and hit send verification, you'll get a link in that email to verify that you have that email. Just going to hit cancel from here. If you hit cancel, it just sends it from the default email address. SSL certificates, we're going to cover this in its own little separate chapter here, but this is where you go to import a custom certificate or purchase the Komodo certificate. Now, when you set up a FileMaker Cloud server, it comes with a 90-day trial Komodo certificate. So you see that right now that's expiring on October 20th, 2018. And ODBC sources. So this is for ESS data sources that you want to access on a server level from your FileMaker Cloud file. Now, you can do a name here. That name should match the name that you have in your FileMaker file for the data source name. So if you have a name that says MySQL Server or something, you want to have that same matching name here. So FileMaker Cloud supports 3 separate data sources, MySQL, Oracle, and SQL Server. Each one of them will toggle here with some basic settings. Database name, IP address, fill that out, hit save, and then your username and password as well for that data source, and a test button to test. So once you get all your settings set in here, you can test that out, make sure it works, and then that data source will be available for all the files that you're hosting. And then lastly under here is turning on these settings for client authentication through OAuth. So if you want Amazon, Google, or Microsoft OAuth identity providers to access your FileMaker files that you're hosting, you can set those up here. And just quickly see what those settings are right here. So that's really what's covered under the configuration tab. So a lot of this stuff, like I said, is set it and forget it. But you'll be coming in here every now and again to do something like renew your SSL certificate or change your password, or even if you decide to change your time zone or your connection timeouts.